Hey guys, what's going on? So today's video, we're going to talk about progressive overload. This is probably one of the most important things that you need to just kind of understand. A lot of people talk about progressive overload differently. We're going to try to keep it super simple like we have for the other videos. Hopefully, you found them to be pretty easy to understand. And this is going to be kind of the principle that is hopefully going to be adopted by all of you after this video, which is essentially we just want to stimulate the body with our workouts, right? Because that's how we get better. So the difference between you doing 10 pull-ups and one pull-up today is that over time, you're going to be stimulating your body and putting it under overload so that your body is going to adapt and feel like it needs to be doing more pull-ups, okay? So progressive overload, if you read the description, it's just a way of us manipulating different variables to help us make progress. All right, so you're stimulating the body, so you're forcing it to adapt, which is going to get stronger, it's going to get bigger, and all the rest, right? So the process of adding more stimulus to overloading the body, you can do that by either manipulating volume, so like again, sets and reps. You can do that with your intensity, so you could say, okay, I'm going to add more weight to the bar. Frequency could be you're going to have more workouts to the week. Rest times, as it sounds, you can increase the rest times. Tempos means like kind of like, are you going 5 seconds down into a squat, 2 seconds, 3 seconds? If you've always only been going up and down fairly consistently in like a 2-second manner, changing that to 5 seconds is going to be an overload. It's going to be different, right? So again, as an example, if I can do 10 reps of squats, and I'm going 2 seconds up, 2 seconds down, but somebody else can go 5 seconds up, 5 seconds down, they're probably going to be stronger, right? Because again, that tempo is different. There's more mechanical tension, which means that the body's having to increase its rate of force production for a longer period of time, all right? And you can have a combination of all these. So if I just give you an example of each one, and then I'll try to keep it fairly short in terms of like beginners, in terms of intermediate lifters, and I won't really dive into advanced because I don't think people are there yet if you're watching this, if you're in this course. And if you are, and you want more bespoke coaching and you want more help with structure, then you can just hit me or Reese up, and yeah, we'll help you with that, okay? That's kind of what we do with our one-to-one clients. So manipulating volume, that could be as simple as doing, one more rep for every set, right? So it could be that week 1, you do 14 reps. Week 2, you do 15 reps. Week 3, you do 16 reps, right? But you're always having the same weight. So if I can do 18 reps at the end of a month versus the beginning of the month where I could only do 14 with the same weight, then, we're getting stronger. But that's overloading, right? So you could also change the amount of sets. So it could be that, week 1, you do 3 sets. Week 2, you do 4 sets. Week 3, you do 5. Week 4, you do 6. But again, like I mentioned before in the volume section, you probably don't want to be manipulating your volume just yet because that means your sessions are going to get longer. So maybe just focus on your repetitions and your weight. So that leads to intensity, which is going to be your weight, right? So make it harder. Just increase your weight by a kilo or 2 kilos and try to be around that mark. If you go too high, you're probably going to find it difficult to just keep increasing every week. So start nice and slow, nice and little for your increments, and then you'll see that really kind of build up over time. So marginal gains, right? Frequency, you can just add another workout to your week. So maybe you're doing 3 workouts a week, and now you're going to add a 4th, right? So you're doing 3 full bodies. Next thing you're doing 4 full bodies. Or maybe you're doing an upper, a lower, and a full body. Now you're doing 2 uppers, 2 lowers, right? So maybe you're doing more volume now. So frequency kind of ties into the intensity and the volume of your workouts. Rest times, like I said, you could do, rather than taking 2-minute rest time, you take 1:30 or a minute or 30 seconds. And again, that's going to challenge your body in different ways. There's different energy systems. But I always say as an example, if I can do the same workout today that took me an hour to complete in a month's time, and I can do it in 30 minutes and lift the same amount of weight, right? The exact same weight, the same intensity. Well, I'm clearly in better shape than I was before, right? And then you can have a combinations, your tempos, like I said, 5 seconds versus 10 seconds down versus 1 second. Those are all going to play a massive part in how your programs develop. So the key to all of this, everything I just talked about, the key to it is tracking, guys. Like if you don't track your workouts, how do you know how to progress from next week, right? Or the week before, the week after, like you don't know what you're doing because you don't have your weights written down. That's why you always see people with little black books and they're writing their numbers down because they then know that next week they have to try to either beat that number in terms of sets, in terms of reps, in terms of weight, or they have a specific kind of model they're structured or to follow, right? Like a periodization model. So periodization is just a way of helping us add structure so that we can progress, right? So how do we structure progress essentially? So the key is tracking. You have to track, just like food. Have to track every now and then to have a good understanding of where you're at, depending on your goals. All right. So what can you do if you're a beginner? So if you're a beginner to intermediate lifter, this is the main thing I would get you to focus on, right? I would get you to focus on literally adding a kilo to 2.5 kilos on all your compound lifts, and then maybe like a kilo or again 2 kilos on your kind of like non-compound lifts. So compounds, think your bench, your squats, your rows, your deadlifts, your pull-ups, your dips, variations of that. And then think isolation, kind of like non-compound movements might be things like your hamstring curls, your leg extensions, your bicep curls, your back accessory work, things like that. So what you want to do is you want to add a little bit of weight every single session, right? And then when you're a beginner, you're going to get away with, getting some really, really good results and making some really good progress quickly. Okay. So you're going to do that every session. When you hit a bit of a wall and you can't seem to do that anymore, what you're going to do is you're going to take 10% of that weight off. So let's say, for example, you worked your way up to 100 kilo bench press and you get to your next session, you can't seem to do more than that 100 kilo bench press for the same amount of reps, right? So I forgot to mention that you're going to keep the same amount of reps. So focus in between 6 to 12 rep range. And let's say if I start doing sets of 8 on my bench, I'm just going to add a kilo to 2 kilos every single session. Eventually, I'm going to hit a wall. When I do hit that wall, take 10% off. So as an example, like I was saying, 100 kilos on my bench, I'm going to take 10% off. So I'm going to do 90 kilos on my next maybe session or 2 sessions. You're going to let the body adapt, let the body recover, right? So you're essentially kind of doing your own little bit of a deload, right? Which is basically allowing your body to recover. And then when you get back into the gym after that week or 2 of having kind of reduced the load, you should find it easier to lift the same amount, and you shouldn't probably hit a PB again, and you just keep doing that. All right. That's the first thing I would do. So once you have done that and you've got to a point where you can't do that anymore, then it might be at the time to add some frequency. So add another session in there. It might be time to add another set in there in terms of your workouts. And it might be time to change how your progress is periodized, right? So how you structured your periodization. So the other way I'll talk about just quickly is what you would do is that you would simply increase the intensity week to week. So as an example, week 1, I do sets of 10 at an RPE 7 or 8. So we talked about RPE earlier, so you can go watch that. Week 2, you do sets of 8 at RPE 8, right? So maybe it's slightly harder that week. Then week 3, RPE 9, but you're only doing sets of 6. So notice how my sets have gone from 10 to 8 to 6, and my RPE has gone from 7 to 8 to 9, right? So your set or your volumes or your reps, are going down as your intensity is going up. And then your week 4, you take that week not off, but you would take it as a deload week. So basically what you would do is you would keep the intensity the same, right? So still keep it about an RPE at least 8 to 9, right? Or 7 to 9. And then you're going to decrease your volume in half. So rather than doing maybe 3 sets or 4 sets of all your exercises like you've been doing across the weeks, you're only going to do 2. Right? And once you've done that week 4, you start all over again. So week 5 is the start of a new month. Then you might go, okay, sets of 10, week 2, sets of 8, week 3, sets of 6s. And again, RPE is going to be 7, 8, 9 respectively, so that you're increasing the intensity over time. And I would just start with that. Keep it nice and simple. You're probably going to get really good gains off the back of that. And make some really, really good progress. If you just focus on those basic principles I just talked about there, then like I said, you'll be fine. If you need help, if you need support in structuring your programming, you want us to give you more kind of like detailed bespoke programming and just take care of it all, then you can always get in touch with Reese and I, and we'll do that for you. But hopefully that makes sense, guys. That's what progressive overload is. It's a manipulation of different factors to really help you kind of overload the body and stimulate the body so it adapts. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. We'll see you later.